Hey guys, my name is Johnny Jidoka and welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be doing something I haven't really done before to its full extent, and that is sharing my story. So I don't want to make this video too long because there's a lot of details that I don't necessarily want to share because they involve certain people in my life that I want to keep private. Their experiences are their experiences, even though they interact with mine. I'm not going to necessarily say names or people or establishments because I want to protect their identities. This is not a video about venting about how things went wrong and things went really poorly and I'm blaming those people. This is just me telling my story, so I'm going to try to do my best to keep things confidential. So, growing up, I was a happy kid. My parents were very religious, are very religious. They're awesome people, though. I never really had a bad experience with them, with them trying to push their faith on me, and it was great. I was a really happy kid. I would love playing with Legos and dinosaurs and toys and making little scenarios in my head as kids do. I was very creative as a kid. My sister once told me that she didn't understand why I would play with Legos because she couldn't really do the same thing I was doing. I would just like make all these stories and make all these movies in my head, and she could only just like make the set. So yeah, it really just very creative. When I was 6 years old, I went to a private Christian school, and the first couple of years were fine. And then I went through a lot of bullying from pe- people who claimed to be Christian at the Christian school. I was predominantly white, so I experienced a lot of bullying because I was Asian, because I was smart, that I was doing well in school. There was this one particular peer. He was really jealous. I think so. He was jealous of my schoolwork, and we would always race each other to get the best grade, to do the fastest, and I would win all the time. So he started bullying me. He was more athletic than I was. He was more social than I was, and I experienced a lot of bullying from girls. And so I think one of the reasons was I was attracted to like predominantly white girls growing up is because I was so used to being bullied by them and wanting attention from them. So I think subconsciously I wanted that attention again and maybe that rejection again. So a lot of the girls I pursued and wanted to date were in relationships or they were not available or going through stuff that I couldn't really approach them. So I realized that subconsciously I was doing that kind of stuff. When I was 10, I was at a church and a kid uh, approached me sexually. I think he must have been exposed to some really bad sexual trauma and thought it was okay. Maybe he was more mature sexually, but he was also 10. I was also 10, 11. He was also 10, 11, and he didn't molest me, but he just exposed some of his body parts to me, not his genitals, but I felt really dirty afterwards. I was so confused, like why in the world would someone do this in a house of worship? So I was still going to that Christian school. I was part of that church growing up. And then so I was bullied a lot. And then when I started going to middle school, in eighth grade, I was doing band at the time, and band was the first thing I really was good at that I got recognition for. I was good at school, but I really had recognition from band. I remember specifically I would I knew no one at that school, even the band members. A lot of them knew each other from elementary school and early middle school. They had their own cliques, and so I wanted to be part of part of the group because I thought band was awesome. And I experienced some bullying there. One time I was at a sectional, practicing with my section, and went out for a bit, and someone put my tenor trombone in the trash can. It wasn't damaged or anything. They just sorry about that. I accidentally clicked restart. So I'll continue my story. Sorry for the really awkward cut. I apologize. I just accidentally clicked my record button and it stopped recording, and I don't really want to do this again because I want to get this done in one fell swoop. So here we go again. So yeah, so I remember distinctly being bullied for that and being mocked, because I looked like a seventh grader even though I was an eighth grader. And it's like, oh, don't let the seventh grader be better than you in trombone. And I was like, I'm eighth grade. He was like, no way, because I was a small kid at the time, much smaller than I am now, and that's okay. Um, but what happened was I would work hard, work hard, work hard. I started getting the recognition of the band directors there, and usually would have a band banquet, and the band director's award would go to someone in the wind symphony. I was in a symphonic band, but this year was different, and I got the band director's award. The band director at the time told my mom that I was going to get it. She didn't tell me. She kept it a secret, and because of my hard work, it paid off, and started getting attention from girls because I was doing well, and they recognized I was working hard. They noticed something genuine in me that I really appreciated, and they reciprocated with friendship and attention. Um, so I was doing well. I made all state my sophomore year in high school in a 6A Texas marching high school band marching concert. And that was crazy because me and this, I think, senior at the time, we were the only ones from our school that were tenor trombonists that made it. And I just worked my butt off, just practicing. And then the mental health started happening. I started being really depressed. I had no motivation. I would miss class because I was so depressed, like several days, like to the point where I had to finish my sophomore year in summer school because I had so many absences. And then I barely made all state. Well, I made all state, but I didn't really do well in the all state auditions for the band in all state. Whenever we went to San Antonio. Um, and so ultimately, I just got more depressed. I started having really bad mood swings, very violent ones. I destroyed almost every piece. No, I destroyed every piece of furniture in my apartment. I put holes in walls with those pieces of furniture. I hit walls. I was so mad. I was so angry. I was blaming my parents for something they couldn't control. I won't get into that because that's between me and them, and I don't want to explain that because it could cause diverse opinions, and I don't want to deal with that right now. But I was going through a lot, and I was just blaming them, angry at my sister. I would like be aggressive towards my parents. I'm surprised I didn't go to juvie for all my assaultive behavior, honestly. Um, and so I went to the hospital the first time in May of 2010. I was 15 years old, and it was a really bad hospital. But there's a moment I realized that other people suffer. There's kids literally like 14 years old having children, and then there were kids who were perma-fried from drugs. They mix this and that, and they're never the same. Met kids who were addicted to hydrocodone, oxycodone. Sorry, I almost clicked it again. I'm gonna put this down. And so all that was going on, and I was really frustrated. And I came back. They didn't give me any meds, and so for the next 12 years, I was hospitalized in and out. I've been to 80 plus hospital stays in 12 years. It's probably pushing 90. I would go probably like at least once every 2 months, if not every at the most, it was like one every 2 weeks. So I would go to the hospital at this peak was 6 to 10 times a year, which is crazy. Um, the least was whenever I was like really sedated on medication. I went there like maybe once or twice a year. I went to the state hospital, which is run by the state. Whenever doctors feel like you're not doing well or not being cooperative, they'll send you to the state hospital. And I was there for 30 days for one time, which was actually a pretty nice hospital. And then the other time was 45 days within the same, rolling calendar year. So in December, I went from 30 days until January, and then from April of that next year, 2011, to May for 45 days in a state hospital. We had some freedom. We weren't necessarily locked up all the time, but I couldn't really focus on doing schoolwork because they were just giving meds that didn't work, and I was still really depressed. I'm schizoaffective, so they were treating me for depression, but they didn't see the bipolar because I was suppressing it. I was suppressing all my anger and frustration. I will get to that later. But it was really, really frustrating, and it pissed me the F off. So over years, I just went through bad hospitals, but I also met a lot of cool people and a lot of weird people and a lot of probably bad people, a mix of everything, and learned how to talk to people, how to empathize, how to discern whenever I'm making a good decision with people. And so in high school, there was this girl I was really obsessed with because of my mental. I don't necessarily think I'd be so obsessed with her if I wasn't so ill, but I gave her a hard time. I would contact her after high school and just bug her, call her phone, call her cell phone, call her home phone, call her boyfriend to talk to her, everything. And so people started noticing that I was really, really sick and didn't know what to do. I did catch up with some of the people that I was friends with from high school, and they were like, "Hey, man, we couldn't really help you. We're sorry, but we're glad you're okay now." And we deal with the same things too. I met a guy who was really good at low brass, and he ended up I met him in the same outpatient clinic about 10 years later, and he was really, really sad because I always known him as a happy guy, and he was really, really sad and anxious. And it was really good to talk to him and catch up. And he was like, yeah, I deal with the same stuff you do. I have, these kind of tendencies. I have depression, I have anxiety. I'm like, oh, crap, even the most perfect people can deal with stuff. And also, they're not perfect. They're going through stuff. So I went through all that. I don't want to go through all the details because it's literally 12 years of hospitalizations. I told a story about I met a mariachi singer from Mexico in one of my videos and how I learned gratitude from that. And then I talked about what happened with most recently with my manic episodes, where I would, I was doing really dangerous sexual activity, nearly jumped off a bridge, got scammed for like several $1,000s because I just couldn't think straight. I put my family through the ringer, and I couldn't really get better because of medication issues and the doctor just basically malpracticing on me. He made a huge mistake, and it nearly cost me my life. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to try to file a lawsuit. I'm not sure, but I'm definitely thinking about it for sure. Seriously thinking about it. And so with all that, I'm alive, obviously, and it's hard to think about happy times because I haven't been happy since I was 14. But now I am happy, and that's really cool. I'm on meds that work finally. One thing I learned about myself is that I have a lot of anger issues. Part of it, is the bipolar. Part of it is anxiety. But I bottled up so much stuff from all the mistreatment I had over the years, and I didn't express it until I started making art, until I started therapy, and until I started doing jujitsu. Because jujitsu for me is never about the other person, my uke, my partner, or my opponent. It's about me. I'm fighting myself. Even if I get tapped, even if I get submitted, even if I get outscored, even if I tap the pressure, it's always about being better than it was yesterday and fighting anger with coping skills, finding anger with exercise and expressing yourself. And that's why I'm so open about this stuff, because if I'm not, I'm probably going to die or kill someone. I'm not going to do either of those things. But I'm saying if I just hold it in, that would happen. I would be in prison probably for a long time, and I wouldn't recover. And I think the biggest thing I learned on top of that is that I learned how to be humble. I was really talented and precocious as a kid, good at art, good at music, good at school. I started to be good at socializing, and I was pretty arrogant because I had so much stuff. And I think if I didn't have all this suffering, I would have definitely been like a jerk, an asshole. I don't usually curse on these kinds of videos, but I would have been an asshole and be mean to people, and I would have lost everything like that. So I think for me, my faith has been really rocky over the years because I'm just switching back and forth between mood and, beliefs and just psychosis. And I think I was in a church that was a bit culty, and I just didn't know what to believe because I felt like I was told what to believe the whole time. And so when I left that church, I'm friends with a couple of people from that church, very close friends, some of my best friends even now. And some of them have left the church. Some of them are in the church. Some of them are even considering leaving the church. And I'm grateful for the times I get to live with them and spend time with them and just hang out in a 3-bedroom apartment with a total of 6 guys and just hanging out, going through life, sharing our life experiences together, crying as young adult men together, bearing each other's burdens and reading the Bible. But I realized that I didn't know what to believe. I was just told what to believe, and I just followed because I thought that's what was following the Bible, following Christ, following God. And I was really scared that I was going to lose my salvation because of all that, because of my mental illness and stuff. So I've come to the conclusion that that's not the case. I do believe that things happen for a reason. I do believe that, I am saved until eternity, even if I do commit suicide. And That's a whole nother conversation. I don't need to get into that right now, but that's what I believe. But it also looks different to be a Christian. I think, like I want to express myself, and so sometimes I'll be a little crass. Sometimes I'll cuss and I'll talk about simping on my YouTube streams and stuff. But overall, I think the most important part is that I actually believe something. I have political beliefs. I have religious beliefs. I have beliefs about. I have strong beliefs about mental health care system and how it should be rehabilitated and just redone and have a lot more infrastructure, just not in the private hospitals, but in the public sector of hospitals, public healthcare hospitals for mental health. So here I am 12 years later at 27. I'm competing in a jiu-jitsu tournament at the end of April. I know I'm going to win because I've worked so hard. I had a lot of trouble with my jiu-jitsu professors in the past because they weren't really nice people, honestly. I think they were faking it, or they were just doing it to a certain set, or maybe that's just how they know how to express their life, which is not right, but that's just how it is. So I'm moving past that. I'm at Revolution Dojo in Katy, Texas, in near Houston, and it's been awesome. I've been learning a lot of technique. I've been learning a lot of fun stuff. I've been rolling. I went to competition class yesterday for the first time in about a month. Excuse me, probably a little more than a month. Yeah, month and a half. And I was able to get through like literally 50 minutes out of the 1 hour of the class. So we did situations, we did like active warm-ups where we were like, very actively doing throws and takedowns. And then we did situational sparring from two positions, mount and side control, or side control, then mount. But you switch every time. So it was basically like 4 rounds. And then we basically did 20 minutes of King of the Hill, which is you have a line of people and there's 5 people out on the mat. And this was divided by weight class and skill. So no, mainly weight class. So I was with the big boys, like people from 200, 185 and up. And I'm talking about up, like huge guys, probably like 275, 300 pounds. And so I was going with them. And so what would happen was you go with a person. Each person in line goes with a different person that's out on the mat, King of the Hill. And then you go with them. If you sub them or tap them, you will stay in and people will go with you. If you get knocked out, either way, if you're in or coming in and you get subbed or tapped out, you have to do 5 burpees. And I did not stop the entire time. I had to take like a quick 30-second break at the end, but I was able to do that non-stop. And people like one of the white belts was like, how do you do them? Like, I've been doing this a while, man. Like, you'll get there. So, and I've been meeting great people, and I'm so grateful for this YouTube channel. I put a lot of work into this. If you can't tell, I put a lot of work into finding what content works for me and what works for you, but still staying true to myself. I know gaming content is not necessarily the most entertaining or the most engaging for most of you, but I like gaming. I used to like gaming a lot, and I'm trying to get back into it because it's one of my passions, honestly. And so now that I have focus from my medication and everything, I can actually do these things, right? And so that's as short. Let me see. Yeah, I've been talking a while, but that's basically my story in a nutshell. If you wanna talk to me in person, ask me, pick my brain about hospitals, mental health, band, jiu-jitsu, feel free to message me on Instagram. It's at judoka_jits, at JUDOKA_JITS. The link is in the description as well. So I hope this was helpful for you to understand why I do the things that I do. And I'm really grateful for you. If you like this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you do subscribe, please click the notification bell at the subscribe option so that you can be contacted or notified for future videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. And I'm going to put my hand on the mouse so I can stop recording in time. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.